Good afternoon. This is Doug Davis submitting my Unit 6 grant request for Columbia Southern. Today I'm going to outline why I believe we should get the grant, what we would use the grant for, and how it would benefit not only our department but the community as a whole. But before we start, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been with the fire department, a full-time fire department, for 16 years. I started out in the military as a firefighter. Then I went overseas as a civilian contractor for a year, and after that I returned to the city of Philadelphia and worked for the fire department there. Did that for a while until I eventually returned back to the Midwest, where I'm originally from, and successfully obtained a job with the Rock Island Arsenal Fire Department. It is a military Department of Defense base. That way I was able to use my military preference and my military time towards retirement. I am a technical rescue technician. I used to be a MAVIS training officer, which in the state of Illinois we do a MAVIS division, so it's all the local fire departments, and then across the state as a statewide mutual aid agreement. I currently created the Rescue Task Force Active Shooter Response Program for the Department of Defense, specifically for the Army, but it's going over to other branches as well, as I work with a couple other colleagues and design it for the state of Illinois. We had the first medical protocols on it in the entire state, and then the entire MAVIS division, or MAVIS across the state of Illinois, has accepted the policy that I led the team on creating, and I currently lead that team for the Quad Cities. So we have 5 major cities that surround us that we all have automatic and mutual aid agreements with. At the base here, we have about 40 employees on duty. We currently run a tower, 2 engines, 2 ambulances, and a command car. We also have 3 boats. Due to the fact that the Mississippi River completely surrounds us, we are on an island in the middle of the Mississippi River. And that leads us to one of the benefits that we could have today for the grant request will be for the Armis drone. It's a fire drone that has thermal imaging cameras already installed on it. This drone can be used for many things, and it's not cheap, but it's one of those things that it's well worth its weight, well worth the cost. In the fire service, nothing's cheap due to the fact that it is around life safety and it either protecting it or saving. So the funding will allow the asset to be used across 2 states, the state of Illinois and state of Iowa. We work hand in hand since we are a border state or border city in that area. We can use it for hazmat to get the bigger picture. We can send this drone out to do a recon before we could ever even have guys anywhere near a suit, let alone a decon set up, things in place. Excuse me. And at the same time, we're not putting guys in danger. It's a drone, 25,000. It can be deconned, so we're not going to lose that asset. And as well as it's going to not only the life safety aspect, but the simple speed. And if it's something that we're able to knock down as simple as anhydrous, we can go ahead and knock it down with water, and then knock the plume down, so we kind of can reduce the effect of the surrounding cities, so we don't have to evacuate as many people. We can identify it a lot quicker, so that we can also, in the event that it was something severely dangerous, that we could actually have more lead time to tell the population surrounding to evacuate or shelter in place, and improve our outcomes. For fire, they currently are being used on fire for multiple things. Again, incident commander could set one out and do a recon around the facility and do a roof report without ever sending a guy in the air. Before we could ever get our tower set up, that drone could already have done a 360 and flown over the facility, so that we'd have a better picture. Not only safer for our guys, but may allow us to have better tactics or more wholesome tactics to be able to prevent the danger of the structure, danger of the personnel, and be a better use of assets. If we don't need our guys there because it's truly not an issue, then we can clear them and have them return to station. We can use it for missing persons on land, in the river. You can use it for pre-fire plans, flying over facilities, seeing what areas are normally warm, what are not, because if you're not familiar with infrared or thermal imaging cameras, as a new guy, especially looking at other facilities that you're not normally in, things can look hot, or things are normally hot in some facilities where they're not in others. So it gives you a better idea of what it is, what the roof looks like, what all the structures and everything, because sometimes you're simply not able to do it. Not to mention it would increase the speed you're able to pre-plane some of the roofs or some of the other surrounding areas, as well as fly up there and simply take a picture and bring it back for training and say, okay, if this steel manufacturer caught on fire, here's a hydrant, this is where you could place it. It allows you to do a tabletop exercise with real-time pictures, which is a lot better than Google or Apple and everything else, because you're usually 6 months to a year behind. You can find patients in a large event. The incident commander can have it there and see a big picture, whether he's there on site or remote in the Situation Emergency Operations Center. They can actually have a live feed with minimal personnel. So the incident management piece of the drone would be phenomenal. And with that incident management, we do have airplanes as a local asset that we can fly, but depending on the weather, at times we're not able to. And there's many times that this drone can go up in weather that we simply won't fly the aircraft, whether it be fixed wing or rotary, simply because we have to put the personnel and the pilot and the crew in danger. Whereas with this drone, that would not be the incident. Even driving to an incident, some locations, like we currently don't have the GIS asset that other cities do, that allow you to know where the traffic is ahead of time, turn the traffic signals as you're getting close. Down in like Pensacola, Florida and everything, they're getting that, and some of them have it, as well as Orange Beach. They do have that, so it is nice for them, but we currently don't have that, so this could kind of let us know ahead of time what it is, road construction, conditions, issues. So it would be a safety mechanism for responders and potentially be able to get us there faster. Public safety for both personnel and the civilians. Another thing you can use it for is we have a lot of river rescues here, and you can use them now. They're big enough now that they can carry a life raft or a life vest to go out there to drop to someone in the river before we could ever, even though our boat is already in the water in the summer, could get to our personnel to the boat and get them to respond. So it could be something a lot quicker, as well as we could use it for a simple surface search. Flying up and down the river at a speed that we couldn't go in the boat, or if the water's up and it's a dangerous condition for our guys, it's something that we can get that out as well. So it's just another asset, and especially something, whether it's cold, hot, so on and so forth, we don't have to fatigue our guys or put them through that. It's something simple that drone can do if we're out just to do a simple surface search. It can greatly improve the proficiency of the local department through training, risk identification, and response support. You can film an incident and then come back and do an after-action report. Or while you're doing training, there's a lot of times you can have a big picture and say, okay, you placed your apparatus here. This is where we should have been. Or responders can be out doing a drill, and you can have company officers back here doing a drill as if they were removed incident command post in real world and everything else, and have that visibility there without them guessing. So it allows them to be more proficient and kind of estimate some of the needs of the response or some of the needs of the incident before maybe an incident commander or someone else was to request it. Decreases the risk of firefighters by allowing people, to stay on the trucks or stay back here, maybe not go in that dangerous area before we have an idea of what it is. Because that drone's going to be so much faster for a deployment than firefighters are, that realistically we can get a very basic down and dirty recon. So when we send other guys in, if we need a further recon, they might actually be able to do some work while they're in there, because we've used it to identify the placards, we've used it to identify the size, we've used it to identify the containment, the container, the vehicle, the mechanism of the spill, whatever that may be. And as well, we can see that where there's more personnel inside, not more personnel inside or out, as well as they have some where you can actually attack something that you could talk to the people through to give them guidance as far as like EMD or anything else of that such. A drone would be sent in the active shooter situations so departments know how many casualties and injuries they have. You can fly around a facility using a thermal imager and see how many bodies, and that can be a huge thing, because in the tactics of a school, if you start on one end of the facility and everyone happened to be in the gymnasium all the way on the other side, that motion through that building, or that traveling and transverse through the building, is pretty slow. Rather than if we were able to identify a large area like a casualty collection point, or just one area like a gymnasium where there happen to be a lot of victims, as a chief officer, I would look to inject my personnel directly in through that facility, whether it be breaching the wall, find a closer door. That way we don't have to take the time to transverse through the entire school in a safe manner. I can send guys directly in there, which is going to expedite the speed of care and increase the probability of the victim surviving. And it's going to increase response, it's going to increase education, it's going to increase training, risk acceptance, risk identification. There's truly not a downfall besides the financial impact that it would be. $25,000 is not a small piece of money for when it comes to a piece of equipment that we can do the job without, absolutely. But what we have to look at is we could not damage as much gear because we're put into situations where maybe we shouldn't. We could not put our guys in danger. We could maybe save more structures. Our guys could be better trained. We could have better identify the situations and better complete more efficient pre-plans, which allows us to be more effective and efficient on the fire ground. So I think the $25,000 would be easily recouped, especially since this could be easily and quickly deployed across 6 different cities in 2 different states, simply by placing one here in the Rock Island Arsenal, or even within our community partners, because we do work close enough that it doesn't matter whose name would be on the drone. It would still be used effectively across each of the cities. I hope you consider our request. If you have any other concerns or questions, please feel free to reach out to us, or better yet, go ahead and stop by. As you can see, over my right shoulder is a picture of the drone. It's a quadcopter. It's very stable, accident avoidance. And over my left, your right, is a thermal imaging picture of it actually flying over a structure, try to simulating what we would be using it for in a 360. As I can check the backside of a structure and the roof with never actually leaving my command car. So, and my guys, they might not even be to the scene yet by the time I could actually get this deployed. Or they're getting their gear on and they could actually come to me and I could say, hey, look, we have a delta exposure that we didn't know about, or it's already vented through the roof and everything else, which would greatly change our tactics, and I wouldn't be putting my guys in as much harm because I'd be able to better identify the risk. So I appreciate your guys' time. I hope you greatly consider it. We could truly use it, and so could our community. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.